Hey everybody, I am, I think 2 minutes late, 3 minutes late today. I am not totally together. I feel a little bit under the weather, but I am here, and this is the third in what I promised, a three-part series in wellness. We had Mina last week. We were talking about thriving through the holidays. Yesterday we had my sister friend Dorian Gonzalez, and we were talking about the Daniel fast. And today we're going to be talking about sorry, I'm just posting to my other group. We're going to be talking about casting a vision for your future. So I know this is a very busy time of year, but so I wasn't expecting a lot of people to be able to join me today, but I hope you will catch the replay. So let's get right into it. And as I get a cup of tea, so if you've been following this page, you know that Value What Matters is about really trying to live intentionally and to focus our lives on the things that really matter. And if there's one thing I preach that relationships really, really matter. And it's based on a Christian worldview where we are told this is our whole duty to love God, to love our neighbor as ourselves. So there you have it, the trio: love of God, love of self, and love of others. And so with that said, this session is sponsored by Christian Women Leading in Life. And it's a Facebook group that I sponsor for women. And we're all about encouraging and supporting women to live their best life. Now, the page is for everybody. Hi, Habiba. Welcome. Good to see you. And we're talking about casting a vision for your future. And I'm glad that you are here. I know it's a very busy time of year, like I said, so I wasn't expecting a lot of people to be on, but I do hope they will catch the replay. So what are we talking about today? I am going to share 4 pointers about vision, casting a vision for your life, and then I'm going to give you homework. I'm going to give you an assignment to do, something that you can do in your free time or perhaps right after the show, and then a special offer. So I don't know, those of you who are listening and who's here with me right now, do you have a vision for your life? Do you have a dream for your life? And have you done a vision board before? So unfortunately, Habiba, usually when you're the only person in class, you have to answer the question. I see we have one more person joining us, so you're not alone. So Felicia, good to see you. Felicia Hill, I think you're in Anguilla. So we have Anguilla and we have Uganda in the house. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad you can join. And if you have to go soon, don't worry, you can catch the replay. So we're talking about vision boarding, and my question to you, since I'm the one who's talking and you are in the audience, do you have a dream or a vision for your life? And have you ever done a vision board? So hit me up in the comments. Do you have a dream or vision for your life? And so I'll just begin by talking about myself. Very early, I grew up in the Caribbean, Trinidad in the house. And I just remember very early looking at my elementary school teacher. And I said, wow, I would like to do what he does when I grow up. I want to be a teacher. And so that became a vision for my life, that I could see myself doing what he did. So Habiba said I made a vision board, something like a vision board, but in my diary this year. Good. So like I was saying, I saw him and I was like, this is what I want to do when I grow up. I want to be a teacher. And so that was the vision that compelled me forward. And my dad had never finished high school, but I had seen somebody, and that became an inspiration for me. Hi, Felicia, good to see you. And true to form, I became a teacher. I became an elementary school teacher. And the point was that for me, that vision, and for all of us, so for those of you who are joining, I said I'm going to share 4 points about casting a vision for your life. And then I'm also going to talk about, give you some homework and then an offer. So we're on point number 1. And the first point I want to make about a vision is that our visions for our lives are shaped by our community and context. Our vision for our lives are shaped by our community and context. And that can be a wonderful thing, but it can also be a very limiting thing. Okay, so listen to me. I told you my vision for my life was inspired by my elementary school teacher. So I was like, I want to be an elementary school teacher. Guess what? I became an elementary school teacher and I hated it. I did not like it at all for a number of reasons. I guess because of where it was done and what was expected of us and the conditions in which we were teaching in my context. But our visions for our lives are often limited by our social context. So sometimes we don't dream bigger than that. I never saw myself having a PhD. I never saw myself teaching at the college level. So the first point is our visions for our lives are shaped by our community and context. So question for you, what was the first vision that you had for your life? I want to hear, what was that vision? It could be about your job. It could be about family. What was your vision? I'm curious to hear. And interestingly, as I talk about how the first point of visions for our lives are shaped by our community and context, motherhood scared me like nothing else. I think I kind of pushed it aside because I didn't really have a mother who showed me what it was like to fulfill that role. So I'm still waiting. I am still waiting for those comments. What do you remember as your first vision for your life? What did you have? And are you doing that? Is where you are now where you expect it to be, or is it grander than what you thought? I thought I was going to be a lawyer. Interestingly, at one point I wanted to be a lawyer. Habiba, but that didn't materialize. Felicia, I want to hear what you are thinking. And so coming back to that point, our visions for our lives are shaped by the community and context. And that can be a good thing. It can be, but it can also be a limiting thing because we're not able to envision beyond that. I would also say that in a lot of respects, our first vision for our life, Leon Beckles. Hey, Leon, good to see you. We're talking about vision boarding. And the question I have for the audience is, what was your first vision for your life? And did it materialize? So one of the other things I would say is that early on, when we're so impressionable and we're shaped by the socialization around us, often our visions for our lives are dominated by what we think we ought to be doing. What we think we ought to be doing. And I will tell you, and I've said this in a number of interviews, my dad said to me, what you need to do is you need to get a government job. You need to get a government job. Felicia said, I wanted to change my life and change the direction of my family. Wonderful. Hey, Elise. Estelle, good to see you. So my dad said, get a government job because you'll be set. You'll get a good pension and everything. And so again, I became a public school teacher in my country. So our vision, so point number 1, she wanted to be an economist. And I believe you're still kind of in that field. And so the first point I was making about our visions for our life, for those of you who just joined us, is that our visions for our lives are shaped by our community and context. And at some point, as we mature, we need to re-examine those visions for our life, because a lot of times we are doing what we thought we ought to do, what we felt sometimes was the safe thing to do. And so it might get us to where we are, but is it going to take us to the next state of life? So that's the first point. For those of you who just joined, I'm giving 4 points about vision boarding. Estelle, thought about being an obstetrician when I was in elementary school. Wow. Wow, I would have never guessed. That's wonderful. And I'm curious because I'm saying that these visions that we have are shaped by our context and our community. Felicia said she was good in the subject. I changed because I soon realized I would not enjoy it. And that is huge. That is huge. As an aside, I would say that when I was in high school, some of my teachers said in the Caribbean, they say, you're so bright. You're so bright. You should do science. And I was doing science, but I was hating it because in the Caribbean, it's like, if you're smart, you become a doctor or a lawyer. I don't know if the same is true in Uganda, right? And I hated it, and I switched, and I really wanted to do writing and all what I'm doing now. But again, there was this you ought to do something where you can earn a living, and that's important. That is important. You got to eat, right? But I think my early vision for my life, which is what I'm talking to you about today, is to what extent was that shaped by a community and context, which is not a bad thing. But now, as you re-examine it, are you doing something that you thought you ought to do rather than what you want to do? So that's the first point. Now, the second point so I'm certain this was where God wants me. Amen. The second point I want to make about visions is that vision for our life can change as we go through different developmental periods, right? So, and several authors have written about this. One book I really like is called The Second Mountain by David Brooks, and he talks about in the first phase of life, often we are driven by certain desires to achieve, to prove ourselves, to have stability, to find community, to get married, to have kids. And so we have one vision of our life in the first phase of life. And then when we get to that mountain, we realize, as Nelson Mandela says in his book at the end, we realize there are other hills to climb. So now we need to think about what is our vision for the next mountain of life, for the second stage of life. And so if you're listening and you're in your 20s, you're probably thinking about different things than somebody in their 30s or 40s or 50s about what is the vision for my life for the next 5 or 10 years. So question for you, wherever you are in your life, do you see a new vision for the road ahead? Do you see a new vision for the road ahead? Or has the vision that you had for your life stayed pretty much consistent? You're good. You're like, I'm good, right? And I will say, my mother wanted me to be a doctor because I was smart in all science. However, I loved reading and writing books. Habiba, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I was being pushed in directions that it wasn't really soul satisfying. Right? So now, see, what was the question I asked you? Has your vision stayed constant, or do you sense that at this season of your life, you are being called to do something different? Oh, my colleague and friend, Dr. Corbett. And what about a vision for 70? Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not too late and you're not too old. And so definitely, the second point I'm making is that at different points in life, we are called to cast a new vision. I just looked up one of my former professors, and I was curious about what happens to him because I like to keep in touch. And I realized that his address didn't work. They've moved into a community of seniors, and it was interesting to see. I think that he's involved in doing some work around diversity and equity within that community, right? So your location changes. And so at different points, we need to stop, reassess. For those of you who just joined, there's the first mountain in life. There's the second mountain. Maybe there's a third mountain. I don't know. But the point I am making is at different points in life, we are called to cast a new vision. And if you don't, let me tell you, life is going to feel dreary. You're going through the motions. You're just doing the do. And so I would say quite transparently that I feel this call to cast a new vision for my life. And that's a wonderful thing. That's a wonderful thing. So Estelle said, I'm still trying to figure out still what I want to do with my life. And I think that's a great thing. But like I said earlier, I think at different seasons of life, we're called to do and be different things. Jesus spent 30 years in relative obscurity and then 3 years of blazing activity until he fulfilled his purpose. So at different seasons in life, we're called to be and do different things. And so that's what we're talking about. So for those of you who joined late, I said I was sharing 4 points about casting a vision for your life. First one was the visions that we have for our lives are shaped by our community and context. And that can be it can be a great thing, but it can also be a limiting thing, right? Because often at the early stages, we are driven by what we think we ought to do, what our parents or society is telling us we ought to do. But point number 2, at different points in life, we are called to cast a new vision. And Nathan, to your point, I think that especially when you get older, it is so liberating because you're like, I don't care what anybody tells me what I need, what I ought to do. I only have so much more life left in me if life lasts. I am going to do what I need to do. So whatever season you are in, you're called to cast a new vision for your life. So I said all of that as a preamble, but now I come to my third point, and I want to spend some time there because we've talked about being shaped by our context and then recognizing that at different seasons of life, we need to regroup, recalibrate, and cast a new vision. So, but what is a life vision? So I'm going to offer the definition, which is given by Friedman. I don't remember his first name, but he's at University of Pennsylvania. And he gives this definition, which I love, of your life. It's a leadership vision, but I'm using it in the context of life. Your life vision is a compelling image of an achievable future for yourself. I'm going to say that again really slow so you get it. Your life vision is a compelling image of an achievable future for yourself. And so often early in life, we are so influenced by what others think we should do, right? But now your life vision is a compelling image of an achievable future for yourself. Let me unpack that one word at a time. Compelling. It should be engaging. It should capture your heart. And when you talk about it, see how I'm smiling? When you think about it, you should get excited thinking about it. And I like to say it should be a wholehearted yes. So has somebody ever asked you to do something and you say yes, but it's not wholehearted? You know, if you are honest within yourself, there's some reticence, there's a little. Recently, I had an offer to do something, and now I'm trying to not do so much and say no. But as soon as I had the offer, I knew it was a wholehearted yes. Yes, this is what I want to be doing. So as you think about your life vision, it should be compelling. Compelling. That's the first thing. It should be, and let's talk about image, a compelling image. An image, you should be able, what you want to do. That's the thing about vision. When we visualize, it activates the part of our brain that motivates us, encourages us. And so you should be able to visualize yourself. What do you look like physically? What are you wearing? Where are you? Who's around you? What's your hair looking like? How much you weigh? Whatever. See that vision. Are you on a stage? Are you talking to lots of people? Are you signing a book? What is it you're doing? Are you with your grandkids? Are you with your children? Are you around the fire? Are you living off the grid? Do you have a garden? Actually, I'm talking to myself. Do you have a garden in the tropics somewhere eating mangoes? What is that image? It's compelling and it's an image. You have to also get out of your comfort zone. Oh, yes, I'm coming to that. I am coming to that, Felicia. You and me, we're here. So it is compelling. You should be able to visualize yourself doing it. Sit down, close your eyes, and imagine. For me, it's having one of my visions is having my garden. I go out in the morning, I get fresh food, I make my smoothie and all of that, right? So compelling, image, achievable. Achievable. So this is a little tricky one because I realize when I think about my life that I was dreaming too small. My dreams were too small for myself. And as Christians, the Bible tells us, beloved, above all things, I wish that you'd prosper and be in good health. And God is a God of abundance. But I was just thinking too small. So dream big, but it has to be achievable. It has to be based on an understanding of who you are and the gifts that you have been given. And you have to also disregard, as Felicia said, the distractions and some of the naysayers, right? So you have to know the gifts you have and the abilities, and you have to know at a heart level that if you put in the work, it is very doable. By effort, good work, and trust in God, it is doable. But it should also be, as Felicia was saying, it should be a stretch opportunity. What I mean by that, she said you have to get out of your comfort zone. So believe it or not, I look like I'm all comfortable, right? I have never really liked doing this, right? Being in front of the camera and all of that. But I realized with my children as well, this is the world that they are living in, and I need to understand it. And also, for my vision to be achieved, I have to be able to just push myself, make myself uncomfortable, and do these things because I have a vision for myself. And I'm glad Nathan is here because he really spoke into me and told me something that really compelled my vision, that I realized that for most of my life, I'm using some words here, I was a company woman, get a job, work for somebody, let them pay you and all of that. And then the vision for my life is I want to own my content, my intellectual property. I want to be in charge. Yes, I want to do that, but I also want to have that ownership. And so that has become a compelling vision for me. Like, I don't need to wait for somebody to say, will you come on my show to do what I'm doing here? I can create my own show. I can create my own show. But it has stretched me. And so your vision for your life, it should be achievable, but it should be a stretch opportunity. It should not be pie in the sky. Okay? And the fourth one, I'm going to read the definition again. Your life vision is a compelling image of an achievable future for yourself. So future, it's some time from this moment forward. 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. What is that compelling vision that's going to move you forward? Where do you see yourself? What are you doing? Who's around you? And what is the work that you need to do to get there? So I said I was going to share 4 points. So the first one was that our life vision is shaped by the context and the community around us. The second point was that for different seasons of our life, we need to stop, we need to regroup and cast a different vision, right? So you get to the point, okay, been there, done that. What's next? And I talked about Nelson Mandela. He said, once you climb one mountain, you realize that there's another hill to climb. So you need to visualize yourself on that other mountaintop. And so the third point is a useful life vision is rooted in your past. It addresses the future while dealing with the reality of the present. So based on everything you have done in the past, your vision is rooted in that, but it addresses where you want to be while acknowledging the reality of your present. What are your gifts? What are you able to do at this point in your life? Okay, so coming down to the end. So we've had 3 points. I have one more point to give to you. I want to say, to get there, to have that compelling vision, just like organizations have values to which they aspire, one step to getting there is to articulate your personal life values or your value statement. What is your value statement? And that is so, so critical. You know, companies have mission statement, they have vision statement. What I am talking about is just like you can have a life vision, you need to be able to articulate your value statement. What is your value statement? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's a one-sentence summary of the main priorities and values of your life. A one-sentence, well, I'm saying one sentence. I mean, you can make it as long as you want, right? But have you ever, now be real, have you ever sat down and just write down, what is Felicia Hill about? What is Nathan Corbett about? What is Habiba Namira about? What is Leon Beckles about? What do I value? What are the main priorities and values of my life? And I'll tell you, for most of my adult life, I had not done that. I had not done that. And when my first daughter was born and I held her in my arms, something happened within me, because I was trying to start Value What Matters, and I was looking at brand font, thinking about website, thinking about what my mission statement, my vision statement would be, and I hadn't done that for my life. I mean, I just, we go along and so on. So my husband and I sat down and we came up with our value statement for our life. Have you done that? Maybe you haven't done it formally, but do you know what your main priorities and values in life are? Have you really sat down to think about it? Have you written it down? And so I am challenging you. This is a this is a much longer discussion that I have time for, but I wanted to whet your appetite so that you would begin to think, before you begin with the vision board and everything that they do, what is my value statement? And Mark and I came up with ours was to live a life grounded on valuing relationships with God, self, and others. That's what I value. That's my value statement for my life. And that is so important because it becomes the point that you return to even before you get your vision board going, to begin to see, now how can I make my actions congruent with what I say I value? How can I act and live with integrity? And by that I mean, okay, so I value this. Do my actions show that I value this? If not, how do I correct? So that's the next point. A useful life vision helps you align your values to match your actions to achieve the life you desire. I value family and seeing them progress. I see that in you, Felicia. I'm about giving and developing. And I want to tell your girlfriend, write it down somewhere. Put it on a nice nice font, laminate it, put it near to your desk or what have you. And it keeps it because it becomes this point of reference that we come back to. A useful life vision helps you align your values to match actions to achieve the life you desire. And so I've given you the 4 points. I've given you the 4 points. And so this is going to be everything I put God at the center, absolutely. Our vision for our lives are shaped by community and context. At different points in life, we are called on to cast a new vision. And I'm not just saying the start of a new year. You need to recognize when that is for you. You've outgrown, you've reached the vision that you had, you got there, and you're like, yeah, I'm here. So what now? More hills and mountains to climb. A useful vision is rooted in your past, addresses the future while dealing with the present reality. And the useful vision helps you align your values to match actions to achieve the life you desire. So where I'm stopping from and the homework for you is I'm stopping at this point to let you see, okay, I am going to do a vision board in my group, Christian Women Leading in Life, and I'm going to have a series of short videos preparing us to do the vision board. But before we get the book and we get the magazines and all the scissors and the glue and everything, this is my takeoff to say, before we do all of that, the first thing we need to do is to clarify, what do we value? What are the main priorities and values of our life? And so that's the homework for you. I'm not going to pick it up, of course, but I see Felicia, she already has the beginnings of making a really concise statement about this is my value statement and keeping that close to her. And whatever yours is, write out that value statement. And the next step after that would be, once you have your value statement, right? What I'm going to do with those in the group next is we're going to talk about the domains of life. Now, some scholars, Friedman and Wortman, he talks about 4 domains: home, community, self, and work. For me, from my Christian worldview, I have 3 domains: self, others, and God. And so those 3 domains, when I put it next to my value statement now, how am I going to bring them in congruence? What are the things I am going to do to show that my actions that I'm going to take over the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years will be well aligned with my value statement? So that's the next step. But we did good today, people. I have to go put up my Christmas, finish decorating, but my homework for you is, if you haven't done so already, just spend a few minutes articulating your value statement for your life. And that will give you a moment to pause, to reflect, and to think about the compelling image. I'm going to read it exactly as I have it here. The compelling image of an achievable future for yourself. And so thank you so much for joining me in the group Christian Women Leading in Life. I'm going to, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be doing a series of short videos that will prepare them to create a vision board, like something like the one I did last year. But we're doing all of this important groundwork. And then in January, we're going to have a vision board party. Party. I'm thinking about putting it also on YouTube, because for those who are not on in my Facebook group, but if you're not, get on the Christian Women Leading in Life Facebook group, and so I will see what I can do. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'm so glad those of you who were able to join today. Have a great day. Bye. Take care. Good to see you, Nathan.